Yo, what's up? This is Splendid on Far Side TV with a very special guest, one of the coolest dudes. You know what I'm saying? One of the coolest dudes, and it's so funny. Um, the architect. You know what I'm saying?
Peace, peace.
Um, it's so funny because I was a fan of you without knowing anything about you. You know what I'm saying? Like literally. And when I say that, like you produced one of my personal favorite albums. You know what I'm saying? Like
Mhm.
literally one of my personal favorite albums. For real. Vulture's Wisdom. You know
Yeah,
what I'm
yeah.
saying? That and we're gonna talk about that down the road. But the way you did it with the loops and coming in and out and kind of how you're a DJ too, like that spoke to me, man. That really spoke to me.
Thank you.
But we gonna catch up to that. So what city are you from?
So I'm originally from, I was born in Milwaukee and
Okay.
I moved to Milpitas, California. Well, San Jose first, then Milpitas. That's where I kind of grew up at, in the Bay Area, South Bay Area. You know, from there, after I graduated, I moved up to Oakland because that's where the music was at. So, I've just been all over the Bay.
So
Yeah.
what was the first hip hop song that ever spoke to you?
Wow, that's a hard one. But, what always comes to mind is Schoolie D, uh, Saturday Night. I don't know
Hey
why that
man.
song always come to mind. Schoolie D Saturday Night. Like, I don't know, maybe it was a little vulgar at that moment for me. I don't know, but everyone stuck. That song stuck for me. So that was and the scratching and just how they was doing it. That whole album. So I would have to
So
say that song.
so he influenced a dope LA rapper that really don't get the shine he deserved right now. But
Hmm.
which LA rapper would you think?
Ice-T?
Yep.
Wow. Yeah. Uh,
Yep.
yeah.
He
Okay.
shared the cadence that, and he'll say it. He'll give the
Hmm.
props to it, and
Wow.
it's so funny. Brown and I have a favorite part in King of New York, man. When dang, nah, it wasn't. Nah, Homeboy kind of looks like Angela Jolie's. Nah, but it's not Angela Jolie's father. But where Homeboy is dancing and Lawrence Fishburne is in the movie. But they play the song in the movie though, King of New York though.
The
Yeah, yeah,
oh yeah, yeah, exactly. But I'm thinking an Ice-T song would be 6 in the morning, right? That's kind of
yeah.
the
So
one
so
that.
six so six so the in the movie King of New York was the Schoolie D song,
Hmm.
but 6 in the morning was where Ice D got the cadence from and everything.
Right, from that. Wow. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I love that movie, King of New York, man. I watched that a lot. That joint.
man. And
They just
I'll tell you something about Ice T, man. He my next door neighbor, she was cool with like who I grew up with, my from like 1975 till I graduated from high school. Next door neighbor, um,
hmm
she was cool with like Prince, Ice T, like she was an attractive girl. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if she messed with anybody, but I don't think she messed with. But she just was like kind of like she went to Soul Train and she kind of was
hmm
whatever. But I remember I would get blown away because Ice he had a candy apple red Porsche.
Oh, hold on, I think I lost it.
Yeah, he had a candy. Uh nah, we'll catch back up.
Kinda,
I could hear you.
is there anything I should do?
Nah, you coming back?
Okay. Okay. Well,
Yeah. So nah. So Ice T had a candy apple red Porsche, and he would come through and he would rock these Neiman Marcus hats. And at the time, Neiman Marcus might as well been Balenciaga or something like that, dude. And I just remember just looking at him
hmm
like, dang, this dude. And this was like, I kind of knew him. Well, you know what? Breaking was already out, so he was a celebrity. But I just remember being at awe, just watching him shoot through in the Porsche, like, because in the '80s, a Porsche might as well have been a Bentley. You know what
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
saying?
Fortunately, that was it.
Yeah.
That was it. You know what's funny is my father, he owned a nightclub And his thing was Porsches, you know what I'm saying? He would have his Porsches and his Jags, you know what I'm saying? It's crazy, you know what I mean? So they, you know, back in the, you know, in the 80s, it's like getting your hands on one of them Porsches
Yeah,
was, you know, unheard of. Or you was the man, you know what I mean? So I can only imagine seeing a red
and
joint with iced tea. Like, come on. What more hip
yeah,
hop is
man,
that?
man. I was like, wow, shoot. When I went to high school, if you had a square back bug, you know what I'm saying?
Mm,
If
mm.
you had a square back, you was the man. But
Yeah, stakes is high now, right? You
oh
need an
man,
airplane, man. You need an airplane.
man, that's not even enough. You know what I'm saying?
Right?
Yeah, no, that's not even enough. So, um, did you ever think hip hop was going to be as large as it is?
Yeah, I actually did. I believed in it. You know what I mean? Once the music part came into play, because I was pretty close in my for my world, I was close to DJing because of my dad. So I was seeing records and whatnot early and you know, gifted records early. So, you know, for me, I was seeing it. I seen the because my dad wasn't playing necessarily playing hip hop records, you know what I'm saying? He was, you know, a different genre, you know, soul and the whispers and you know what I mean, all that kind of stuff, right? And I seen it coming in and I was just like, yo, this ain't gonna stop. This
Yeah.
ain't gonna stop. You know what I mean? And you know, I was fully with it early.
Oh shoot,
You
man.
know?
Yeah, you're blessed to be in the in the environment that could be conducive to you becoming a
Exactly.
producer.
For real.
You know what I'm
For
saying?
real.
What's your favorite hip hop movie?
Man, can you say Belly?
Yep, many
Oh,
people have.
there it is, man. Belly, man. That's my movie. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
I mean, for some hip hop, because it had all the hip hop dudes in it. You know what I'm saying? So it was like, I like that movie. You know what I mean? I know back in the day, it was like, oh, it's dark. It's like, no, it was fine. That was a dope movie. That's my favorite hip hop movie.
Well,
And then on some old school, you know, I would say Beat Street. You know, after that, I love that movie too. But yeah, Belly, that's the one.
no, Belly was dope because first of all, it was shot by a video director. You know what I'm
Exactly,
saying?
exactly.
So the way that cinematically it drew you into the advancement of hip hop. You know what I'm saying? And
Right.
then the club scene, and then Homegirl. You had the way that he lit a beautiful dark black woman and had the blue lights bouncing off of her, and then
Mm-hmm.
had the lights on DMX making him look super sinister.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And you know, just the context of what was going on, man, that
Yeah,
movie was just it was like a long hip hop video, but there was, how the
yeah.
hip hop video in it back in the day, they'd have even a part where they may do a little acting. But this was like seeing that the whole way through. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, Belly
Nah,
was
it
fire.
actually looked good.
Yeah. And I like the way you said how you said it. It took hip hop a little bit to another level though.
Yeah.
After that movie, it took us to like, I don't know, it was like another movie level, like our movie level stepped up. You know what I'm
Oh, for
saying? In
sure.
Hollywood and I don't know, the vision, just everything about it kind of stepped up right at that moment. You know?
Nah, nah, for sure. And I say it almost every podcast, but I'm that dude, man. I'm gonna say it again. Um, some of the dopest hip hop actors that never really got their shine were the Fat Boys,
Oh yeah.
and Disorderlies. Check out Disorderlies when you get a minute, man. And
Yeah,
they
I'm
were
gonna have to go
natural.
revisit that. But yeah, no, I feel that though. I feel that because they was for comedy. I got to go revisit that. That's real because it stuck with me as a kid.
So I'm pretty sure you were a DJ before you became a producer, correct?
Definitely, definitely. I was doing like little house parties. You know what I'm saying, all around, and school dance. You know what I'm saying, eighth grade dance. I had speakers because once again, there was extra equipment laying around, so I could get that old stuff just sitting around and then go out and go do some DJing around the city or whatever. And high school, like I said, back then you needed a sound system like a mobile DJ, and you get your license when you're 16, so it
Yeah.
wasn't nothing. I had a little whip, boom, throw the speakers in there, and. But even before that, um, just having records all the time. So once I was always trying to figure out how to sample, like that was the whole thing. And it wasn't like there was no Google, so I had to figure it out. You know what I mean? I thought that first I thought it was two turntables, then it was the tape deck thing, but I'm like, that's not what's happening here. So it took me a minute. That was really what I was focused on, trying to figure out. Even the DJing was so I can get a sampler. You know what I'm saying? Because I had to get a sampler. That was it. You
it's
know what I
it's
mean?
so it's so funny you say that because and we gonna have the extended conversation about Vulture's wisdom, but listening to Vulture's wisdom is almost like having a DJ that has programmed beats and it's almost like you were live programming. You know what I'm saying? And that's the way it sounded, like how it kind of came off. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, the
And
process of that was kind of like that. You know what I mean? Like, we was, Ope was doing his thing. It wasn't a real like studio session. We're at Matt Kelly's spot, and
Matt Kelly,
yeah, you
boy.
know what I mean. Shout out Matt Kelly, and some of the songs I just have the beats on CD, and we had a CDJ, so I scratch them in. You know what I mean? But I would be, just bring the beats on CD, and we was just doing a lot. That was like two tracks. It wasn't really a separated tracks, this, that, and the third. You know what I mean on that particular record. And I played a
Yeah.
lot of the instruments on that record.
Oh
You know
man.
what I mean? Yeah, that was kind of a whole nother thing because I was trying to figure out how to make a sampled sounding sound, you know what I mean, through, making it live, right, but still having not losing the texture, if that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of that was based off of that too. So yeah, it was a lot of techniques going on that.
Yeah, man. Real man. Matt Kelly Hyde Street Studio.
Oh
You
yeah.
know?
Oh yeah.
Oh man, boy, that area was something else, man. That was
Yeah.
something
Well,
else.
my studio was next. So, the Hyro studio, if you went into their room, right? Remember, you go down the hallway, that little, not a hallway, but a little corridor.
Yeah.
Their door was in the front. The door to your right was my studio, and the door to your left was another guy's studio, like a rock dude studio. So I would
Okay.
always be seeing him and passing while I was in there doing my thing. You know what I mean? And,
Nah.
from there, we got cool. I ended up DJing for Souls of Mischief at one point and, being a tour DJ. And, we just, it's family.
Yeah. No, Matt work with everybody, man. I mean, I remember
Mm-hmm.
George Clinton recording in that studio.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That
Crazy.
studio. But yeah, the trip about Oakland and the Bay was that you had this crazy cross pollination of gangsterisms, hippieisms, veganisms, and conscious isms. You know what I'm saying? You know, all kind of merged in together. My first time really experiencing the Bay was Berkeley. You know what I'm saying? And Berkeley was quite a culture shock. Shoot, we lost you, man. We'll get him back, Casey Brewer. I appreciate you tapping in. One sec. You got a little weak signal. Technical difficulties. All right, he's
I'm
back
back.
in.
Sorry about that, man.
Nah,
Go
it's
ahead.
hey man.
Yeah.
That's some hip hop. That's some hip hop
Yeah, that
stuff, man. That's
right.
like a uh playing a record that got a scratch in it, or
You know what I'm saying? Real talk. Real talk.
yeah, nah. But so I got this thing where I kind of feel like um listening to a record in its entirety is kind of like writing in cursive. It's kind of like a lost art. But I like every weekend I take an honest effort and I attempt to listen to a record in its entirety.
Mm.
Um, the last record I listened to in its entirety was Flea's record. You know, his new one that he has out now. The
Okay.
one that I felt was the dopest before that, in a contemporary sense, I would say the Clips album really, like I was really feeling the Clips album. I would say 80% of it was the music, 20% was the rollout. Like the way that they rolled it out was like dope. I just feel like
Definitely.
they really, we hadn't had an album that kind of led in where the marketing and just all the different aspects just really just kind of cohesively came together. I just hadn't seen that in a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
And I can appreciate that. But I would say the dopest album I've heard in the last 12 months would probably be Queen Latifah Wrath of My Madness, man.
Mm.
I'm stuck there. I've tried to go and listen to, you know, Eric B. and Rakim's first album. I've tried to go and listen to X Clan's album, and all those albums were cool. All those albums were cool, but Queen Latifah had Mark the 45 Kings
Exactly.
production,
Exactly.
which was ridiculous. And she could out rap a lot of people. I would
Facts.
probably even say today, but this is the problem with being like a multifaceted artist. Um, when you're a multifaceted artist, you can easily get lost in the sauce. So like with her, because she was as dope acting as she was rapping, and then when she started acting, she no longer put music out. You don't even think about it. You know what
Yeah,
I'm
she's
saying?
not mentioned as she should be.
Oh man, that's a
You
matter of
know,
fact.
and she opened a lot of doors when she came through.
Oh sure, the flavor unit.
You know what I
You know what
mean?
I'm
Like
saying? Native
real talk.
tongue.
You know, yeah, Latifah's yeah, and the beats on that album was just insane. The
Yeah,
song "Wrath of My Madness" was crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't even know. You know?
dude,
Yeah,
man.
I agree.
Yeah, and you know, and that was back when I want to say I don't even think she used profanity. She wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
If she spoke of sex, I would say probably buddy, where it was like in a metaphoric way. You know what I'm
Exactly.
saying?
No, she
And
was
what?
lyrical.
Yeah,
She was
yeah,
not one two in it. Like she was lyrical when she had context and content to what she was saying. You know what I mean? Like, yeah,
yeah.
she's crazy with it. Yeah, Latifah was crazy with it. She definitely needs to be mentioned more.
I'm gonna give a shout out to the chat real quick. We got Casey Brewer, you know what I'm saying, holding it down a little bit, and then we got the homeboy Amaru. I checked him out. He's a comedian, man. I checked him out last Friday. Very funny guy. You know what I'm saying? Oh shoot, he makes music too. So
Oh,
yeah,
nice, nice.
he's what, you know what? He kind of fits that mold where he does some rapping, he does some producing, and he does comedy. But it's kind of like when you do three things, kind of cool. It's just, man, it's the person that can crack that code, man.
Yeah, no, I get it.
The person that can crack that code, man, they'll definitely
Because
well
you know what happened
deserved.
to Will Smith in all reality. Because you know,
But
I mean, Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince, and you know, earlier we was talking about some of them records. That is also a record. The Jazzy Jeff Fresh Prince first record was a very influential, eye-opening thing to be listening to at that moment. You know what I'm saying? There was like a moment where you had that one. Jive, I guess, was doing it. You had Kumo D and a lot of, you going with the kids? Are you going with the OG? I mean, it was just a whole, you know, thing. LO Cool. You know what I mean? Just that little period. But what really stood out was that Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince. That was tight, man. That was a tight album.
a
And I guess he
brand
went
new
to
funk.
acting, right? So same kind of thing. You know what I mean? But yeah,
Yeah, no, brand new funk, dude. That was
yeah.
like
Come on, that's crazy.
Le Coq Sportif. You know what I'm
You know what
saying?
I mean? That
And they
was
had the
crazy.
dancers.
You know? Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah, man. Yeah, that was man, I hate to sound like the old fogey stogie. You know what I'm saying? And all that. But man, that was an exciting time, man.
that was fun,
Yep.
and that's like some of the pieces that ain't there really anymore fun, you know what I'm saying? But that's a whole nother thing. But everything we name is about fun. They was having fun. Or dropping some science, dropping some knowledge, you know what I'm saying, which is fun. Who don't
With
want to
that
learn something? You know what I mean? So, you know,
with that being said, the last album you listened to.
wow, the last album I've been really listening. So I've been DJing, right?
Yep.
And doing the 45 sets, but I've been getting all kinds of different records. So I've been in some boogie records, you know what I mean? Some funk records, some 80s R&B, post-punk records, all kinds of stuff. When I DJ, I'd spin all kinds of things. They all hip hop and relative, but in their own right, hip hop, post-punk, all that stuff kind of goes hand in hand, Janet Jackson, that type stuff, right? So you can really, anyways, with that said, I've been listening to this group, Psychic Mirrors, which is more modern, but man, I just been on repeat with that for a minute, man. It's crazy. I like
Okay.
that stuff a lot. Yeah, they got the sound. It's really good. But I've been listening to that lately.
Nah, that's dope.
Yeah, man. And then everything else since I've been digging, I just been digging because I had to get I got to get the records now that I'm DJing. I have to have records. So
I tell you what, you know Slowpoke?
who's that?
Slowpoke?
Yeah, I heard the name. Yeah, yeah,
Nah,
yeah,
I'm gonna introduce you with it.
yeah.
Get a Motown set together. He does Motown on Mondays.
Oh, word.
But
Okay.
that's the whole thing. It's like everything played is Motown inspired. So remixes, originals, remakes,
Mm-hmm.
Motown artists, the whole nine. So when people come, they do their own whatever their interpretation is of a Motown set. And so, Motown,
Yeah.
so remakes of like, somebody will come and play like a Brazilian version or an African Ethiopian version of a
Mm-hmm.
Motown song too. But yeah,
Yeah.
since you out,
Yeah. I'm in the stores, man. I'm digging around. I'm getting, I'm picking up joints.
nah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, man.
So junior high school. So tell me this: where'd you go to junior high school, middle school?
I went to Rancho Junior High,
Out
which is
here?
in Milpitas. Nah, this is in Milpitas in the South Bay area.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And by the way, Charisma is also, the rapper Charisma. He's
Yeah.
from Milpitas too. So there was like, to me, a rich hip hop history. Peanut Butter Wolf didn't live, but he lived in San Jose, but it was like maybe a mile and a half, 2 miles away from where I lived at. So, and I would see them at Star Records. I'm just putting it in
Yeah.
context.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it's like, you know, getting, yeah,
You came from somewhere.
yeah, exactly. And it's a small town, so everybody knows each other. There's only one junior high, one high school, one continuation school. So, everybody knows each other out there. So yeah, that was kind of and I was the dude making beats and the DJ dude.
Your junior high school soundtrack. Oh,
Think about that. Oh, you got to chill. Strictly business. You know what I mean? EPMD all
okay.
day. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Yeah.
Nah, it's funny you said so. Okay, so I got that. So you're a little younger. You're a little younger. So one of my fan esque kind of moments was rest in peace Dave from De La. Got to be kind of cool with him before he passed, but telling him that I used to dance the potholes in my line
Oh wow.
in the 11th grade. I want to say, yeah, I
Wow.
want to say in the 11th grade, that was a highlight in my musical understanding. You know what I'm
Wow.
saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, for
I mean, that
sure.
song is amazing.
Oh yeah, yeah. But the funny thing, probably not even today. I couldn't tell you what the song means. I'll have to look that up. I'll
Yeah.
have to. I
That's a
just know
good
it
one. Yeah.
sounded dope. You know what I'm saying? I know it sounded dope.
Yeah.
Prince Paul, man.
Wow. That
Yeah.
whole record was just a masterpiece.
It was you. I'm gonna tell you what I thought was dope about it. It was a bunch of samples, but the opposite of the Bomb Squad. And I'm not dissing the Bomb Squad because I love the Bomb Squad. You know what I'm saying? Like the Bomb Squad could take what they did with Public Enemy and having. So when I think of the Bomb Squad, I think of did you see the Bernie Worrell documentary? Okay. So in the Bernie Worrell documentary, they interviewed George Clinton and he said, man, Bernie Worrell could play like a whole bunch of keyboards, but he wouldn't get in front of himself or get in front of everybody else. But he could, he could just play a whole bunch of stuff at the same time. Well, with the Bomb Squad, they'd have they'd have so many samples.
For real.
So many samples.
For real.
But they didn't really step over each other like that. You know what I'm saying? Which was the art of the Bomb Squad. But Prince Paul, he did a version of a bunch of samples with De La Soul, but to me, it was almost like and this is weird, but I'll say it was like a comedy soundtrack. You know what I'm saying? Like
Agree
if
with that
somebody,
though. I
yeah,
could agree with that. It was like a quirkiness to it.
exactly. So it's like if there would have been a soundtrack to a comedy, and we're talking like Chevy Chase style comedy. You know what I'm saying? Like a soundtrack to a comedy. To me, 3 Feet High and Rising had that. You know what I'm saying? And it was fun. You know what I'm saying?
Nah, facts. Yeah, 3 Feet High and Rising was definitely a masterpiece. That's another record I learned a lot from just, I just learned from records back then. Like, wow, how are they doing it? That was the whole thing. And, that record was dope because it was like, as somebody who was, trying to figure it out, that was left field. All those samples was left field. That was not, none of that was in your mom. Some of it was, but most of it wasn't just sitting in everybody's mom's crates.
Yeah.
Necessarily, like it wasn't all, you know what I'm saying, popular records that you may have heard before. You may have even heard them, but just not in no context of hip hop. You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
Well,
was crazy.
You had the genius of Prince Paul, of course, but he was kind of the glue. He was putting it together. He was the maestro. But then Paz produced, and then he had a repertoire of records and whatnot, and so did Dave. And then Maceo was a DJ, so then Maceo had a gang of record. So you have this thing where you have four people that are very heavily versed in understanding music, like not like before you even get to the hip hop and the rapping part, you got people that understand records and sounds and all that. And I just know that through a personal relationship with Dave, Mace, and Paz, like dudes that
right.
You look at them as artists, but dudes that really were about their music, like even back then. You know what I'm saying?
Scientific about it.
Oh man, for sure. I've seen Maceo rock some stuff, dude, where I was just kind of like, dang. And then I've heard some of Paz's producing. You know what I'm saying? Where I'm like, okay. I'm like, man, you if you wouldn't have looked for it, you never would have knew it. You know what I'm saying on that? So your senior year in high school, you're about to be tossed out into this cold world. What did you think your path was going to be?
Music. I mean, I finally got my hands on the sampler. You know what I mean? I'm making beats, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, I'm going to, talent shows, or not really even talent shows, like trying to get manager and, running around and doing hip hop stuff. Back then you're trying to get a deal. I knew Charisma, he had a deal. So, eventually I ended up with the same manager as him, doing Homeless Derelicts. And, I ended up going to the local continuation school because I was too busy trying to make beats. So I was all in.
All right.
I was all in. I had been to studios, you know what I mean? So it was like, I've been going to little studios and I had a sampler. So when I showed up at the studio, I got my own stuff. You know what I mean? I had an EPS.
Dude, I
So
remember my senior year of high school, I had buddies that ended up being groundbreaking, some would say, as far as hip hop is concerned. And I remember talking to one of them, and he said he wanted to be an artist. And we were 11th, maybe 12th grade. I don't know if it was the 11th, 12th grade. And he said he wanted to be an entertainer. And I was like, dude, you better be trying to get a real job. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know,
yeah.
and it was so crazy because um, you know, I was around them and even around the making of a seminal, like groundbreaking album, and not understanding exactly what was going on. But the thing about it is, it's like uh it's very easy to be around people and to know them as people, but to be oblivious to their artistry.
Mhm.
But then to come full circle, I'll tell you what confused me. Being in the studio and like watching, let's say, as an example, Brown's process of producing and finding the loop or playing the loop and the whole chopping and all those bits and pieces. When you hear that, that's not what a song sounds like. You know what I'm saying?
Nah.
So,
Right.
you know, you're hearing concepts. You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying?
exactly.
And so, like, it's so crazy because even to this day, I just let Brown do his thing. Like I don't even come in. Like I'll hear from how we work to in the same place and space. I'll hear from like a distance, like kind of what's going on. But I've learned like when he plays something for me, then that's what it is. Like it's not for I like man, it ain't even for me to attempt to understand the chops
Right, and the
and
process.
the musicians coming and all that because you're hearing it's
Yeah,
almost like trying to hear into somebody's head and like
exactly.
and you can't. And so I learned that, you know, when it comes to people that make music, wait until you can hear a complete thought. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Where like the world got to hear the Far Side's complete thought, but I was like in and out of a studio, like I was hearing
Yeah,
bits,
right.
pieces, chops, and whatever. And even like to this day, you know, out here Brown working on concepts, and it won't, like my mind won't be able to translate it. And then when he gets down and he's ready to mix and master, I'm just like, damn, how did that become that? But that's why I'm not a producer. You know what I'm saying?
Right. No, I hear you. Yeah, no, that's real. I mean, that's really the whole thing is finishing the song.
The process.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Once it's done, then but a lot of times, once again, you know, people don't even finish the song. If that makes sense. The song don't even
No,
get finished,
dude,
you know?
we knew somebody who would have a million concepts and they would always say they had a million songs. But if it's not complete, it's not a song.
It's not
It's
a
not,
song. Exactly. That part.
it's
Can you
not a
commit?
song.
It's like, can you commit?
Yeah.
Basically, right? You got to be, all right, I commit. It's ready. I'm ready to do this shit. This is the one. We're going to do this. But that's like another process, like, you know,
Nah, I respect producers, dude. I respect them so much. Like it. So I listen to house music probably at least 4 hours a day. It's just my thing, and I've just kind of Brown turned me on to some history of techno. So then I
mm-hmm.
kind of took that deep dive, and I've kind of been doing some retracing through the whole Detroit thing and whatnot. Because
I actually I'm collecting them style of 45s, and when I say the post punk thing is directly connected to all of that, and the dark
dude,
wave. You feel me? Like I'm on all that right now. You know what I'm saying? Like it's all connected. That's a good place to be. It's a lot of fun over
man, and
there. You know what I'm saying?
and
A
it's
lot of
crazy.
creativity.
It's crazy because I knew a dude who he wasn't born in Detroit, but he spent some time in Detroit. And I remember asking him, what is techno? Like I didn't, and he said a bunch of words, but it wasn't the definition of what techno was, and he probably didn't know himself. And the
Mm-hmm.
only one of the only references in my mind I could go to was when Eminem was just dissing everybody, and he dissed Moby, and he was like, "Techno's played out, da 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 da," and so I kind of dismissed techno, not understanding inner city, all
Mm-hmm.
these house songs
Mm-hmm.
were another space and place dealing with the whole craft work, Euro
Exactly.
thing,
Exactly.
electronic thing
Exactly.
going on. But the thing about it is the cats in Detroit were just as valid as the cats in Chicago that started how
Mm-hmm.
and it's crazy how Detroit and Chicago are two different places and they did two different styles of music,
Mm-hmm.
but the music they did, some of it influenced by some of the music across the water. They did their creative thing to it to the
Mm-hmm.
point of where the people across the water came back and kind of, I'm not going to say, I'll just say that people across the water got inspired by what was going on in Chicago as well as Detroit. You know what
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying?
Yeah.
And yeah, that like literally creating whole genres of music.
Yeah. Facts. Facts. That's what hip hop did.
Yeah.
Because you got, I didn't realize how much New York rappers was going over to London and that with that. You know what I mean? Back then, and how much London was popping back then, because I was young, you know what I'm saying? And I didn't even see that far. You know what I'm saying? Until like Moni Love, I'm like, wow, Cookie Crew and stuff like that. But you know what I mean? It was just like, dudes going all the way out the country. So, hearing about, things like that. I mean, hip hop is the latest genre to really touch the whole world to this very day.
Dude,
You know what I'm saying?
I remember, so in the early Far Side days, we would do these tours that was like a real tour. Like now fools will go out for a month and they'll do shows every weekend and they'll call it a tour. I've been on tours where you start in Amsterdam in like 1996, 7 in a Sprinter van in a trailer, and not a Mercedes Sprinter van at the time. It was a Ford or it was something, whatever. And you go on for 6 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And on the weekends, you may do larger things, but you're really doing like bars and clubs and stuff like that. And doing that, seeing a lot of opening acts. Um, the one place that I could say, I would never say this until right now, but the one place that I could say would never truly advance in hip hop, and to date, if you could show me more than three people, and the reason is because of the linguistics of their language. But dude, it was hard to listen to some German hip hop, dude. It's like
Mm-hmm.
German is a language that is not, it doesn't sound like to me, Portuguese is a very beautiful language, dude. It's
Mm-hmm.
like very, you can say almost say anything. Like Portuguese is a very beautiful language. French is a very beautiful language. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? But when you get in like Germany, dude,
Nah,
I
it's
was
rough.
like, and dude, I never repeated nobody, but dude, if there was an artist in Germany that could do it, well, I'll say this: an artist in Germany that could do it, that would bounce back to the States where our minds would have the patience to process
Well, it,
the,
it couldn't be in German though, or in Dutch. It'd have to be in English. You know what I'm
but
saying?
but
Like
that's how they do it though. You got you're speaking.
they can't do it in their language. Like
Yeah, see, I'm talking about their language though. You
yeah,
know what I'm
yeah, you
saying?
know what I mean? Like it's not
I'll
everything don't flow in hip hop. You know what I mean? Like everything not necessarily supposed to be hip hop.
I'll tell you who could flow, couldn't understand the language, but the enthusiasm made what they do phonically able to digest a little bit. I've heard some Japanese though. I've heard some Japanese
Japanese is
hip
fire
hop.
though. Yes,
Yeah, no,
they got fire,
I've definitely heard some Japanese hip
and you
hop
can
where I've been
tell the
like,
cadence is in there and the beats are hard.
exactly,
You know what I mean?
exactly. So yeah, so I'm gonna ease up on my semi bashing, man. But I I just had to share that, man. Germany, dude. That is, yeah, phonically. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, phonically a challenge. So right now you're into like your post punk era and all that. But like, what would you say is your favorite genre of music?
R&B, I guess, and obviously some hip hop and jazz. I mean, I kind of listen to everything. You know what I mean? Because I'm sampling records, so I really don't look at music in that way, if that makes sense. Like I kind of look at it if it fits into my sonic scheme of my mind of how things are mixed. You know what I mean? Some music I don't even listen to because it's not mixed the way I like things to be mixed, and you know, I try to stay in my little box. But when I'm DJing, it's different. You know what I mean? But when I'm
Mm-hmm.
listening and I'm really, you know, listening to things, it's like I like it. I can't really specifically say I listen to anything. It could be a rock record. It could be because a lot of them records are emulating other sounds and doing other renditions of things and are inspired by things. So sonically, to me, for the things I'm looking for, it all connects. It don't matter if it's you know a Pink Floyd thing or if it's Michael Jackson or something. You know what I'm saying? It's you know what I mean? Or just some like Miles Davis with when he did the hip hop record. It's all to me would relate in some form or fashion. If that makes sense.
I'm gonna tell you something crazy. I had a buddy's, one of my closest buddies' father, and he said something that rocked my world, man. He was a music buff, super duper 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 music buff, and he made me look at something in a totally different way. So, you know, I he was helping me in a process, and so we listened to a lot of music together, and he saw how I had kind of got excited, and this was back in like maybe about 2003, 2004, and I was kind of into the police and or in this particular space and place. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I was listening to some, and he was like, "Man, they ain't nothing but some dudes trying to do some reggae." And I was like, at first I was like, "Man, why is he hating? Like, dudes, please." And I listened, I was like, they are trying to
You know what I mean? Like dudes
that
was doing blues records, but they
that
just
is
changing the instruments, right? Throwing distortion. They got more tracks in the studio. Time has caught, has passed when dudes may have been in the 50s doing it right. Now you got all these lush instruments and stuff. Then here come the 80s, they doing it in with drum machines and whatnot, but it's like not so far away from each other, if that makes sense.
yeah. And to say that, I'll say the record that the police have that I gravitated to, that not album but record that I gravitated to, where I could say they're dope musicians, or whoever was mixing that record was dope, was Voices Inside My Head, man.
Mm.
The dub version. The
Mm.
dub version is ridiculous. Their drummer, man,
Mm.
that I never, but I never looked at. I looked at the police kind of like a pop band. You
Yeah,
know what I'm saying?
absolutely. But if you look back, Roxanne, that's like Bob Marley song or
No,
something. If
oh,
you
man,
really think about what's
he
happening,
knew.
you know what I mean? It's kind of in that, in that
Rest in
vein of
peace.
inspiration. I'm not,
He.
I could be wrong, but I'm just saying,
Oh no,
if
he
you
knew.
lay them
Not
songs in kind of peep, it
nah,
is similar.
nah. He knew. He knew. I was just because. But you know what though? The twist is with MTV, that was like almost what social media is today, where we were
Mhm.
fed things. And then when you saw the videos, it's like you got the oohs and the ahs. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? So you with the oohs and the ahs, that'll make you lose track of a whole bunch of what's really, you know what I'm saying?
exactly. And we wasn't when them songs came out, I mean, I wasn't musically uh mature at that moment, right? When them songs, like in the early 80s and stuff, I'm still kind of young. So I'm not even necessarily really, I'm like hearing reggae songs and stuff, but it's not really like resonating with me like this is a reggae song. You know what I mean? Because remember, like Stevie Wonder, he had a reggae inspired song,
Did
They
he
coming
wrote
into, you know what I'm talking about? That one
third? He
joint,
wrote
right?
he wrote Third World's biggest song.
So you know what I'm saying? And
Now that we got love.
I didn't even really realize that that reggae was not something that was like from the I mean, I could be wrong about this, but from my understanding, it wasn't something that was necessarily it was kind of modern. It was more modern time music than you would like. It wasn't from like some ancient days or something. You know what I'm
No,
trying to say? Like it was more of a modern phenomenon, I guess you could say.
they took the cats in Jamaica, and people will probably argue me, fight me. And I'm not going to say this is scientifically proven, but through a few documentaries and whatnot, this is what I think. Uh, my understanding, it was like uh, the Motown sound going on, and they took it and spun it in a skyway with the
Mm-hmm.
skink, ink, skink. They spun it that way,
Mm-hmm.
and then from there, it you got your roots and you got your different your different things, but it was the almost like they took doo-wop. The early reggae songs was
Mm-hmm.
almost like some doo-wop kind of Motown sound music that evolved into all the other things that it evolved into.
Right, right. All the way to dance hall, you know what I mean? Which,
Now, I like the OG dance hall where you
right.
have like the MCs or the DJs going back and forth, that.
Mm-hmm.
When
Mm-hmm.
dance hall turned into the Shabba ranks, that's where it kind of lost. But man, I'm wise enough to know that a lot of things that aren't for me are for everybody else. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Perfect example. Um, when I when I would go out on the road, a lot of times when we would get our rental car or when we get picked up or whatnot in the United States, um, when we were traveling with a band, it'd be about like 8 of us or something like that.
Right.
So, the easiest thing was to go to the pop station in the town or whatever and just listen to the popular music.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, that's kind of how I became familiar with like Post Malone. And so listening to like a Post Malone or man, what's Homeboy's name? He lost his mind. Uh what's Homeboy's name that lost his mind? Well, I'm not going that's wrong. Uh Old Town Road.
Oh yeah, yeah, I know. Nas, Little Nas.
Yeah, Lil Nas. So
Yeah.
like a Post Malone or Little Nas. I could hear Little Nas. And when I heard Old Town Road, I could tell it was a huge song, like by listening to it, like the Nine Inch Nails sample, whatever. It was, a huge song. But like Post Malone, I really couldn't get into his music. But when I heard it, I knew the way that it sounded would resonate with a whole bunch of people. And so, like for me, I can understand just because I don't like it doesn't mean, or not like it, just because I don't connect to it. It's not about
Yes.
like, it's about just because I don't connect to it. I mean, dude, it's a lot of people that like stinky cheese. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
exactly.
I've traveled
Exactly.
with dudes that, man, we've been in France and they couldn't
Woo.
wait to get to the backstage and get to the funky cheese and all that. Hey, man,
Right.
anything beyond mozzarella or sharp cheddar is kind of beyond my comprehension.
Yeah, that goat cheese and all that
And
kind of
debris and all that.
yeah.
Like, man, but I can't say it's whack. It's just not my thing, but I can't say it's whack because I know there's a large amount of people that would do whatever to get to it. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
No, I get it. I get it. I mean, you can, like I always say, you don't have to, for instance, like a Celine Dion, right? You ain't gotta like you said, connect to her music, but you can't say the woman can't sing,
Yeah.
if that makes sense. You know what I'm
Oh,
saying? Some people don't like opera. I've been to opera things where I'm like, wow, blown away. But some people might be like, I don't like opera. It just sound like whatever. You know what I'm saying? But you know, you can't take away the fact when the skill level is really there. If that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? And whatever.
dude,
Some of
I
those
was
pop songs that we're talking about, they were put together. They weren't just a random guy, doing whatever. There's probably a lot of minds involved, low key, in to making those songs, do what they do, if that makes sense.
I was at a festival one time, and it was a tent with probably anywhere between 5 and 8,000 people in the tent, and there was this group, and I can't remember. They probably went on before us. I can't. I don't think they went on after us, but it was two brothers. Their name was they were the Bots was the name. They're out here, and guitar and drums. That's it. And
Yeah.
dude, like purest punk rock. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Purest
Yeah.
punk rock. Uh, their mom was black, father was Asian, is Asian, and dude, they rocked the crowd, man.
Wow.
They rocked the crowd. Like they gave me that same feeling when I saw Rage Against Machine in
Mm.
that video they did when they were at Dodger Stadium. And I
Mm.
was like, and at the time, see, I'm kind of like a punk rock purist. So where I come from, place called Harbor City, uh,
Mm.
in the South Bay, not South Bay up north, but
Yeah,
like
yeah, I
in
got you.
South. So out here,
Mm-hmm.
um, we listen to like the Descendants, DRI, Dead Kennedys, Bad Brains.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Fishbone on the lighter side, but they were kind of, a cross pollination of a whole bunch of stuff going on.
Right.
The Dickies, the Vandals, a lot of Social Distortion. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of like punk rock, punk rock. But I'll tell you something about punk rock though. Someone said if you know the culture of punk rock, someone said Public Enemy was punk rock, and as well as Ice T's
I agree.
body cap, which
Yeah,
basically punk rock is just rebel music. You know what I'm
exactly.
saying?
That's what made hip hop tight.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? It was like, it was a lash out. It was, against the system. It wasn't like government subsidized hip hop. That's what I like to call it, some of this stuff. You know what I'm saying? Though it was like, NWA. I like that was like against the grain, and
man.
even Two Live Crew, you know,
Thank you, Uncle Luke.
you know.
You know what I'm saying? Uncle Luke he paid the dues, man. And it's so funny because, and this is gonna be an old fogey moment. I think the most artists today that are very popular, that are making money, or that have made past tense a whole lot of money, they're not really gonna speak up for too much, man. They're gonna stay out the way, and they're gonna say, uh, you know, my politics is
Yeah,
and all
exactly.
that.
Exactly.
But
That's
I'm
true.
so for me, like uh Instagram is where I'm conservative for the most part, or I attempt to be conservative because that's like a little bit of marketing, a little bit of whatever. Facebook, family, friends, whatever. That's when I kind of get loose because my family's from Brookhaven, Mississippi,
Mm.
so it's very Southern entrenched, you see a lot of uh Confederate flags, you know what I'm
Wow.
saying, flapping
Right.
on the back of, you probably got some people that are black that would defend the Confederate flag. You know what I'm saying?
Mm. Mm.
Like on a cultural level of where they'll dismiss it in a way of where they'll be like, well, this is the way it's always been. This
Mm.
is part of our whatever. So we're not tripping. They don't even see it, whatever. But see, for me, I've had the blessing of seeing both worlds. So I've seen down there, but the trip is like, say for instance, you could have a racist person down there, and if you had a flat tire, they pull over and help. You know
Mm.
what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It's not so much horror story like they
Right.
put it, like they put there are places and spaces that are like that, but it's more politics where it's kind of like, well, we gonna wave to you if we don't know you. We're gonna, if
Yeah,
you have a
exactly.
flat
So
tire,
that
we'll
part of
help
the
you.
culture is still there.
But if it's y'all or us,
Yeah,
it's gonna be us.
exactly.
You know what
Exactly.
I'm saying? But it's interesting that in this space and place, um, not too many artists are speaking up, man.
Nah, not at all. But
With
I
you,
think it's just, it's the spirit also of the game. You know what I'm saying? It's like people ain't all political out like that. You know what I'm saying? It's, in general, it's just, I don't see
hey,
people in general very political, on some revolutionary vibes. You know what I'm saying? The music has a revolutionary tone to it, but it's not directed necessarily to, it's directed, to each other, basically. We all directed that revolutionary energy to each other, right? Got guys getting shot at the restaurant, whatnot, you know what I'm saying?
yeah,
And, for lack of better words, Zimmerman, he's probably somewhere chilling. The
mm,
dude's got time to get money finally and do all this, but it's cool. I mean, I get it. People are young or whatever. So I don't expect much from artists in that space these days.
no, no, but you know what though? There's always been a handful. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Thinking back as you say that, with the wheels turning in my small little mind. You know what I'm saying? It's always been a handful, but I think that and it's so funny because um I got a homegirl and she's her me and her I'm as cool with her as I am with her husband. Like we I knew her first, but like we family or whatever. And they and I talked to her husband last week, and I remember my conversation with him because he's a little younger than me, and I was like, man, you can't let the oohs and ahs just take you over every single time, man, because that's what the oohs and ahs are for. And when I say oohs and
mhm.
ahs, I mean the lights, camera, action, sparkly, you know what I'm saying,
Yeah,
and all that.
yeah.
And I always think back. Um, I've watched a lot of Peter Tosh interviews, and man, and we gonna go further forward into some fun stuff. But I gotta get this political off
No,
my
no, that's
chest.
what's up, man. I mean, yeah, I'm with it.
Nah, we gonna get this fun, but I recall this one interview where Peter Tosh, dude, he wasn't down with what the Whalers were doing in America, and he was like, "Man, that's not Rasta, man. They're up in the dance, they're up in the nightclubs, and all this, that, and the other." And Peter Tosh was more or less the purist, and I was just kind of like, and at first I was like, "Well, man, is he being too much?" But then I guess that is where you have that line of art is art, and then people are allowed to be people. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
exactly.
That's what it is. So anyway, moving forward, how did Vulture's wisdom come?
Man, so man, I was just like, so I with having the studio next to Pyro's studio. Like I said, we smoke. Dudes link up, roll a blunt or whatever. So we started really connecting, and with just general guys. And me and O was vibing one day. Was like, yo, we need to do a project. I was over at the spot, and man, we just, and it was kind of a weird time in music because like YouTube was coming, it was kind of one of them, the internet was doing its thing, and it's kind of like things were kind of iffy. And you remember that time,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? So I didn't want to put a lot of energy and do a record that was going to be necessarily like, hella tracks all day at the studio, just that spirit of music. I didn't want to do a record like
Real
that. I had
quick,
beats, you know
real
what I
quick.
mean?
I'm gonna tell you one of my favorite parts of that album. And Vulture's Wisdom, dude, it's one of my favorite albums, dude. I'm a fan.
Wow.
And like, but it's a trip because I'm cool with Ope. I didn't know you from Adam, literally Adam. I didn't know you from Adam, but the Vulture's Wisdom album spoke to me because the way that you brought almost like a live beat set style of bringing the beats in and out,
Mm-hmm.
and then you scratched. And I was like, man, fools ain't even scratching on records, man.
Right. Well, they had the CDJ, and I didn't have one of those.
Okay.
But Souls and them, but Hyro and them had one. So when or Opio had one. So when he brought it to the studio, I could finally scratch my own stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was like, because like that was like new technology right there. And I was like, I'm scratching all kinds of stuff now. You know what I mean? Like I have that. If I can get it onto a CD, I can scratch it. So I'm scratching in the movie interludes and just all kinds of scratching his verse on something on one time, like just the first little right before he started, because I had the acapella, I could do that, and that was a big part of it. And once again, I was like resampling myself, playing stuff in there, you know what I mean? Like just trying to really experiment. And once I gave the beats to went to Matt Kelly's, he was just knocking the songs out so fast. It was just natural. We actually did two records at the same time. Like we did all the songs for two records, for one and two at that same time. And there's one and two, you know what I'm saying? But yeah.
No, I know there's a two, but I'm gonna
Yeah.
say this, and you know what? I'm gonna listen to two this weekend. I've never listened to two because one just blew my mind so much, dude.
Wow.
It is really one of my favorite records, man. And not because I know Opio, like that ain't that's not the reason. It's like it's telling a story. Like we gonna move on, man, because it's not fair. I could talk about one of my favorite records all night, all day. Um, Stone's Throw. How did that relationship begin?
So I knew, first of all, I knew of Charisma, you know what I mean, as a kid, I was young, and he was like the city rapper, and he had a record deal at one point and everything, you know what I'm saying? So, at one point he heard I make beats, and me and him linked up, and then I knew Peanut Butter Wolf because he worked at Star Records. I knew of him. He was Chris Cut at the time, and
Mm-hmm.
then he did a record with this with a couple guys. Can't remember Quiz One, and I actually had that record. He produced that record, so I kind of knew about them, by themselves. And then when they became a group or whatever, I kind of had new Charisma and kind of just knew they knew I made beats and worked with 50 Grand with Grand Visitor. So, you know, they got a hold of the music. They introduced me to Matt Brown, which is a manager, and the rest is history. And I've known Wolf for, that whole period of time.
Oh,
Yeah. So, basically when Charisma passed away, that led to me, Wolf ended up starting a record label, whatever the case. And I did, he knew we're on the same management. So, but that kind of all dissolved. Shout
mm-hmm.
out Matt Brown though, but it all kind of dissolved. And later on, when Stone Throw started, I put out the first, I think 3 records. I think Fanatic put out the first beat record, and I put out the first 3 after that, or something like that. You know what I
Okay.
mean? But, yeah.
So, uh, me being the the undercover fan side of the homeboy, I see that you into your gadget and your gadgetry. So,
Yeah.
in the last 12 months, what's been your favorite piece of gear that you picked up?
Man, I got it with me. Been using this Lo-Fi XT. Shout out
Okay.
Sonic Wear. It's hella small, you know what I'm saying? So I could go anywhere, make a beat. And it's like got a really crunchy sound. Just reminds me of the sound of hip hop.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So I just need a sequencer and something that samples, and I'm going in. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I mean, I made everything I've been doing lately has been on that,
Okay.
on the hip hop side. You know what I mean?
Your most iconic moment.
You know, probably I've had a lot, but I would say sitting in the car, hot boxing, and I turn the radio on, and I produce a song for Coolio, and they're doing Battle of the. Remember when they used to do Battle of? It's not Battle of the Bands, but I forgot. It would be like Battle of the Songs or something. They was doing
Yeah.
on KMEL out in the Bay Area, and they play that song. I remember from Coolio, but I produced that song, so you know, and I'm probably
Dope.
like 20 at this point. Boxing in the whip. I had already like did the song a while back and came back up to the base. So it was just I didn't know what was gonna happen. That was another one of them times where I didn't necessarily see the vision of, you know, you don't know what's gonna happen. You're kind of just in the moment. You know what I mean? Next thing I know, Coolio was like, you know, the biggest artist ever. You know what I'm saying? At one point, you know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, that was an iconic moment
Dude.
because they wasn't like I was like they had like a spot they had where we was making the beats in the spot with all the acts and everybody. It wasn't like fancy like that, you know. It wasn't like they had the bread yet. When I was doing that song with them, they were still
Mm-hmm.
hustling, scrambling. You know what I mean? Getting the, you know, in fact, Paul Stewart was his manager, so I had met
Okay.
him. You know what I'm saying? And you know, just you remember that time?
Hey man, I remember time before that. I remember um I was at a junior college that I spent about 5 years at. Or nah, that's a lie. It was 4 years, three to four. Didn't pass one class before I got to El Camino. Like I was that was whatever. But I remember Coolio coming up to the junior college and handing out CDs, and this was like 1990.
Wow. Yeah.
And County Line. That was
Yeah.
that
Yeah. Exactly.
County Line was a song. You didn't produce
Crazy.
that, did you?
I did. I did. I remember the one that
Okay.
got J Ro on it.
Okay. Okay. Cool.
Yep, I did that one. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? Yeah, that was a crazy time because I so much things I seen right before, like the next year,
Yeah.
everything was up. You
Took
know, I had
off.
seen like Warren G and just you know just being with them, seeing all these people right before. I remember I was at this thing with Coolio and his brother Spoon. They brought me. It was in Long Beach, some type of party. Coolio goes, I'm there, just a kid watching. You know what I mean? They got me in. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't even 21. And he comes back, and I'm kind of standing, and he tells his homies, that yeah, Snoop Dogg's gonna put me in a song. And I was like, and I heard him say it, and I was like, okay, because they were like, you need to meet Snoop or whatever, you know, and they
Yeah.
did that. Then he came back and said that, and like a year later, because you know things take hella time, Coolio with the flow. I was like, what the? He really put him in the song. Because I had left and went back to the Bay after that. So all the stuff was happening, but I wasn't with them when it was happening. So I was seeing all the results of the time I spent with them. You see what I'm saying? And all the things that were people was talking about. You know, I was like, wow, this is crazy. But yeah.
I'll tell you a group, and Paul managed them. That dude, they should have took off, dude. I don't know what happened. I don't know how it happened. Whatever. It was a group called GAD.
That I produced for them. So check it out. So the other songs that I did, because these ones didn't come out. You know what I mean? And they was in this, I would be making the beats, you know what I'm saying? We'd be in the little
Dude,
apartment and whatnot. I produced Doing My Time. Remember that? Doing My Time. I produced that.
dude, they were supposed to. I'm gonna tell you what I felt was wrong with them. It was just the look, dude. That was the only part is that they were very casually dressed. You know what I'm
Yeah, they
saying?
were very casual.
As far as the package and selling the package to mainstream oohs and ahs. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, I
There
felt like
wasn't.
there was almost like, you know, they were supposed to be kind of in a, you know, khakis and whatnot and kind of on
Yeah.
like that more than maybe suits and tie, whatever was going on at the time, you know what I mean? But they was kind of in that lane, and you know,
To me,
yeah,
they were like a Nate Dogg quartet. You know what I'm saying? They was
exactly,
like they was
exactly.
what Nate Dogg was doing. They were doing it as, and I'm not gonna say they were better or whatever, but that vein that Nate Dogg was in, they were doing that as a group. You know what I'm saying? As a
Mm-hmm.
vocal group, dude. I really liked them a lot.
No, they was tight. Them dudes was tight, and they were there the whole time. Like I said, I mean, you remember the time where somebody going like the label? I don't know who was getting it. They had Spoon, so he was organizing a lot of this stuff, and you know, dudes would be in the, like I said, somebody living room with the speakers up, like making the beat, like this is gonna be the song, and you know, I'm making the thing right there. You know what I mean? So we sampling the record on the spot. I brought my records down and my, you know, drove down. You know, it was just a whole experience, man. And those experiences back, those are really the, you know, the record deal, record label
Hey,
vibe. You know what I mean? Like just that whole experience is just. I'm sure
dude,
guys are getting it these days, but it's different from just being in your bedroom.
dude, that space and place that we're talking about right now, fools was throwing out 250, $500,000 record deals, dude.
Yeah,
It was
exactly.
like somebody taking a handful of rice and just throwing it up in the air, like throwing it
Man,
up in
like
the air.
that part though, like for real though, like you was getting paid for beats, like you getting paid. And then
Yeah,
you know the cool part about right back then, for me at least, the way I even got tapped into that was because people knew I made beats. So when Spoon, you know, homie came to town who was like knew was Coolio's brother, so he knew somebody I knew that's somebody that they knew or whatever, and it just got word back, and it was like, "Oh, bring him over to his house." And he came through and he was like, "Make a beat." And I made one on the spot. He's like, "Okay, I'm gonna call you." And
you
like
know,
6 months later, you know what I mean? It was like, "Hey man, you got to get down here. It's going down." And you know, I got to, you know, got my little change from that big record. You know what I mean? It was just that was like, you know, record deal, record life back then was just, you know, I'm trying to figure out how we gonna do it like that in these modern days, but people don't understand how much that was just you was not doing it for
man,
and you had to be good. All you had to really do was be good. Because I didn't give no demo. He just seen me make a beat and was like, okay, you can do it. Like, oh, you can work a machine. All right. And then boom, we down there and you know, like I said, months later, he called my stepmom. I was like, yo, he's like, yo, I need you down here. You know what I'm saying? Boom.
you know Kahil Sadiq.
I don't. I
Ah,
don't.
dude, I'm gonna plug you with him, dude. He was like the little homie, like real little homie to like the Alcoholics, King T, and that whole thing. And now he's like a, yeah, he is doing. So he kind of comes out of that. His sound now is kind of like Ross G, Sarah type of
Right,
thing, kind of like
right.
really, but super dope. Georgia Ann, like super dope.
Mm.
But like he was just like a little kid, but he was running with the company of like
Yeah,
the,
of the greats.
yeah, man. Yeah, man,
Wow.
at the time. Um, your largest DJ inspiration.
Let's say Premiere.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
scratch
because
you.
you know, Premiere is like for me at that moment, you're a DJ and you're a producer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it was like, okay, I could be a DJ and a producer. You know what I mean? Like when No More Mr. Nice Guy came out and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? And it was like I didn't have a group then, but I was on a mission. The rapper was okay. Producer, I need and then have like low profile. You know what I'm saying? And you know, just those connections to me. Those are things that came on my plate. You know, and I was like, I got to get a rapper. So you know, I had to have a group. And so yeah, Premiere definitely, and Aladdin. You know what I'm saying? I mean, once again, I can't really say because, you know, Joe Cooley, man. Like these are
Oh my
scratches that I was
God.
duplicate, but it took a lot to get. One person couldn't fill the shoes of what I needed to get where I'm at as far as my where I feel like my skill set is at for what I do. I needed all that. And you know, I needed all that. I needed Marley Marl, like every little piece of everything. I remember listening to a Digital Underground record, their first album, over and over again, just to hear where they placed the hi-hat. So when you make a beat, right? Because remember the hi-hats used to sometimes get crazy in the mix.
Yeah.
I'm getting all juice, but you know what I'm talking
No,
about,
no,
man.
no,
Certain
no, no,
records
no.
back in the day, the hi-hats would always bug me. So Digital Underground's hi-hats sat so good in the songs where I was just like, wow. And I could tell they were putting a hi-hat there. Like I could tell like it was a drum machine or something was going on, but you know, so just things like that. So I can't really, but I will say once again, Premiere, but my scratch techniques and different things, like I really got some of that from like the first low profile record that bring the noise. You know what I'm talking about? Like, come on, man. Like we all had to learn how to do that. No, I'm not hot. It's just the sound.
Yeah, no,
Okay,
I was yeah. No, I was blessed. One of my homies, his anniversary of death was yesterday, DJ Gargamel. Um, Aladdin was his mentor. You know what I'm
wow.
saying? And so I got to know Aladdin a little bit, same place, same space, whatever. And like, dude, Aladdin is one of LA's, like, I feel like in California, it's crazy that you know who Aladdin is, being that you're from the Northern California area. But dude, his cutting and scratching, dude. Oh my God. So when uh when my boy had passed away, they had a memorial for him. And so DJ uh Tony from K Day, I had him on last week. Uh he came to the memorial and he was cutting Electric Kingdom. And dude, I was 13 again. Like, so for me to watch the beat junkies' faces, and these, like, dude, J Rod,
Yeah,
Red Matic,
yeah.
Mr. Chop, DJ Melody, to see these guys' faces, like, this is our DJ Premier. Like, this is our dude that's at the level. I was just like, dang, dude. It was like,
Yeah.
I'll say that's probably been the only other moment I could say that I've witnessed DJing at a level that kind of had me feeling that way. Uh, I was in Scandinavia after a festival, and uh, oh man, what's my homeboy's name? Dang, sheesh. I can't remember his names, but he's an executioner, but he's like the
Rock
youngest
Raider
one.
or
Huh?
or was Sinister?
Nope. He's the
Rock Raiders?
youngest. Nope, the youngest.
Word,
He
right.
came Boogie Blind.
Eclipse?
Boogie Blind.
Oh, Boogie Blind is crazy though.
Boogie Blind and Lord Finesse had a routine going, dude.
That's
And
crazy.
I was just like, oh man.
Wow. I got to say this though. So being in the South Bay and just being in the Bay Area in general, scratching was a big part of everything it was a big deal. Like, I used to see Kubert come to my high school and he'd do a straight routine, you know what I mean? And, a crazy routine though, dude, with the, I want to rock right now. I want to rock, like just insane, and you're seeing this at lunch and it's like Kubert, but it's not like Kubert today,
Yeah.
but they're like Kubert's coming, but it isn't like, it's not like, it's all the hype. It's hype, but it's just
Without the oohs and
oh, he
ahs.
about to really, and everybody just watching it. And because he would do it more than once, you know what I'm saying? But, it was like his high school gig, I would assume back then. Like he had a jug to go do his stuff at the thing. And he would be DJing with people dancing and then pull this stuff off. You know what I mean? It wasn't like he was doing a scratch set. So just seeing that type of stuff and like the West Coast is, the hip hop history out here is just deep. You know what I mean? Like the skill levels and the things, yeah. because I always say I didn't have like per se. Like I said, I'm trying to figure it out. There's not nobody around me with a sampler. There's nobody making beats. Nobody's doing hip hop. It's just not. They're not doing that piece at least. The guys are breakdancing, dudes is rapping, but nobody's doing it. I didn't have like per se a local Molly Mall or somebody I can go holler at and be like, yo, you know what I mean? I had to really figure it out on my own. So, with that said, I feel like a lot of dudes in the South Bay, and it's in the Bay Area in general, they had to figure that stuff out. And on the
Yeah.
West Coast, there wasn't like a lot of, people like all the big groups wasn't in the Bay Area as far as like, I mean, they're on the East Coast. So if I wanted to do anything, learn certain things, I mean, I didn't have access to it. But with that said, it kind of made me have to carve my own style out,
Yeah.
figure it out on my own, and and do my own thing with it. But that's what's up.
You know what? I'm gonna spin the record back one time. One of the dopest things that I've witnessed in person, not just on some DJing, but just on seeing a group perform. Dude, I came up to the Bay one time and I saw Digital Underground perform, early Digital Underground when it was the band. When it was the band. I'm gonna say it one more
Wow.
time. When it was the band. And Homeboy, who played the keys, he does a podcast now. Oh man, I gotta look that up. Dude, take away the oohs and ahs of music videos and all that kind of stuff. They were on some funkadelic,
Mm-hmm.
like really talented musician type
Yes.
stuff going on, dude.
Seriously.
Put it this way: if people can say rest in peace, if they could say, okay, Shock G, and we're not talking about the rapper Shock G, let's just say the musician.
Mm-hmm.
They had other cats that were with him that could hang with him, dude. And I just remember
Mm-hmm.
seeing them perform as a band with some rapping, but it was heavy on the band stuff. And I remember saying, dude,
Interesting.
this is
Yeah.
serious, man.
Nah, DU was crazy. They were
it
crazy with it.
is
Like
but
that's
once
not ever gonna be done again.
no, but once again, it was in the Bay. So it wasn't the taking the show on the road and the whole logistics of taking this whole thing that I
Mm-hmm.
saw in the and I can't remember if it was San Francisco or Oakland, but it wasn't taking this whole thing and moving it across the country and across the
Mm-hmm.
water and all that. This was either in Oakland or in San Francisco with a full band, dude. And
Wow.
I was just like, so Homeboy. So think of it as Shock G was like the lead keys and piano, but this other cat, and I'm gonna find this podcast. I'm gonna share with you who this dude is. He was like the Bernie Worrell, like he was playing like about four keyboards. You know what I'm
Was he
saying?
like? Was that the Piano Man?
Yes,
Yeah, the Piano Man was crazy.
yes. Oh man, oh man. So
Yeah, that's
with
what's
that
up,
being said, the best advice you've ever received.
man. That's a good one. Just keep going.
look both look both ways before you cross. You know what I'm
You
saying?
know what
Around
I'm
this
saying?
one.
Real, just keep. I mean, if it's musical things, you know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Like, yeah, just keep it popping, man. Like, just keep going, man.
If you had a biopic, what would the title be?
The greatest story never told.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know.
Nah, man. That's dope. So if people want to check out your music, where can they go?
You can hit me on the IG, Spotify. So my album is out now on Stone's Throw. You can definitely go there. It's called The Greatest Story Never Told. I basically sampled their catalog of records. Wolf was like, we trying to figure out how to do the record without so much sample issues, right, these days.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm in the warehouse looking at records. I'm like, yo, Wolf pulls one out. Why don't you sample this? And then from there, I was like, okay, yeah, that's a good idea. And why don't I sample, we'll sample this catalog. We'll curate the records. I made a bunch of beats, like 120 beats, and we curated down to like, 15 songs. And, it's out now. Vinyl is going to be here soon. And, it's my 30-year return to Stones Throw, man. It feels good to be, back where I started. It's like a whole thing. It's their
Nah,
30-year anniversary too. Stones Throw's 30-year anniversary and my 30-year return after, 96. So, it's kind of cool, man. It's kind of cool.
dope. Well, nah, since you so close now, we definitely gonna slap hands, man.
Oh yeah.
And I'm a foodie to the heart, man. So I'll probably you know what I'm saying? That's
Oh
kind of
yeah. Yeah, I've been
yeah.
looking for the spots out here, man. You know what I'm
Oh
saying?
yeah. Yeah. No, we'll definitely do a few things. So what's your IG?
The underscore architect HHP. The underscore architect HHP.
Your band camp?
Uh the Architect Beat Show
Okay.
is my band camp. Um, but yeah, like I said, if you go over to Stones Throw, I need everybody to go over to Stones Throw and support the hip hop project out over there. Yeah, that's where the best place to find what I'm doing right now is over at Stones Throw's Bandcamp or their website where y'all can pick up the record. Let's go.
Dope. So as I close this out, I'm gonna give you my favorite song off of Vulture's Wisdom.
Oh yeah,
Vice versa.
that was tight. Yeah, okay.
Man, man,
Now that's a song where I played all the instruments. There is
what?
no sample in that song. I'm playing the bass and you know what I mean?
Dude,
I'm playing the little
that
guitar
bass
lick in there.
line is
You know what I'm saying? Then that little
ridiculous.
string, I had an ARP ensemble, the old school ARP ensemble. I had one of them joints, so I was playing. So when you hear them sounds, it's the same instruments doing it. And then I like played it into the MPC four. I'm not, yeah, MPC 4000, and pitched it, stretched it. I had to get the texture so it sounded hip hop, and that's good that you like that one because that's for me. That's one of my, I felt like I got it right.
Oh
You're
yeah, no,
trying to
and the
do
cuts
a
and
style, and like
scratches,
I got it right.
and a lot of scratching, a lot,
Yeah, and scratching all over that joint,
and
man.
the way you were scratching, it wasn't overpowering anything. Nah. Anyway, like I said, man, I'm a fan. I appreciate you shoot, man, just chopping it up with me. Now you in LA, we definitely gonna slap hands, do that thing
Absolutely.
right there. So with that being said, man, this is another episode of Splendid Radio on Farside TV. I
Yeah.
appreciate you, the architect.
Yo,
Thank you
yo.
very much.
I
Real
gotta say
quick.
what's up. What up, Greg? How's it going, my man?
you know, you know what I'm saying? Another Gargamel, dude.
Oh yeah,
Gargamel got.
yeah. I heard that. I heard that. Rest in peace. Much respect and love to Gargamel. Yeah, yeah.
Hey
Yes,
Dope,
sir.
man,
dope.
it don't
No,
stop, and we
Pacino
gonna
in the
have.
house. Pacino in the house.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
we're gonna
saying?
get Pachico back. We're gonna get him back on too, man. He's
Oh yeah,
Oh
man.
yeah.
I'm a
definitely, man. Yeah, much love, much love.
I'm a fan also. So now, man, with that being said, once again, Splendid Radio on Farside TV. Peace.